Hey, what's going on? I am Dennis Delamar, and I am the founder of the Greenwood Film Festival and your host for the Film Train. So here at the Film Train, we talk about whether films are taking us forward or whether they're taking us back. And today we talking about American Skin. That's right, American Skin by Nate Parker has been ripping up the streets, and we're gonna get into it and find out what the nitty-gritty is. All right, so now we get into the acting. So we had a lot of different array of characters from a lot of different walks, and so starting off with Nate Parker, and so of all the characters, I felt like he had the strongest performance, and his character really, coming from a military background, I really feel like he fit that narrative of like wanting to play it by the rules, and just wanting to play it by the rules. And when they were in that situation where they were waiting for the news to come back, they were, just hoping that the courts would do the right thing. And we're gonna talk about that in a minute. We're gonna talk about that. So when that transpires, when that doesn't go down, his character transitions to wanting to get justice, wanting to get to the truth. And here is where I felt like, and nothing against the story, I did feel like I didn't really see where they were pulling from to get that strength. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes in movies you have like backstories because it helps you understand who this person is. And I didn't feel like we got a glimpse into his world of who is Lincoln Jefferson. We had a little bit of thing, and I think they went from the assumption that it's just a black guy and we harassed by the police, which is true, but everybody has their different stories that builds to having certain things, and I feel like they didn't do that, which led to, I feel like, the lack of emotion from Nate. I didn't from Nate. I didn't really feel I didn't really feel like that power that I felt like I should feel as a black man that has gone through this, and not just you going through this, but the stacks on stacks on stacks of 400 years type anger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't feel that. And so, and then you had Shane Paul McGee, who played the documentary person, and I felt like his character was just like the typical type of American, black person that plays it safe. They play by the book, and and they're really intrigued. They're not really deep into the issues of Black America, but they're interested in that. And I think he did. I think he played his part. And so you get into Amari Hardwick. He was, he did his thing. He was the friend, and then you had Theo, right, playing the officer. And now I will say he was like the villain kind of character, but I did feel like and it's going to be tough to say, but I got to say it. Even though he was a villain, and sometimes I don't know what's up with these Hollywood movies why like the villain and the bad characters have like, they make you feel not make you feel good, they make you feel, get you in your emotions. Bo character, he killed Lincoln's son, and I felt like his character just was his character. Like, he played his role. I didn't think he did, outstanding performance where it was like, oh my goodness, like, and I felt like he was the supporting, so he should have had a little bit more stronger performance in just that, because whether he was racist or this, or that's a debate, but he could have pushed it a little more. So I'm a little biased that we could have got a lot more out of the performances, but it's all good. Next, we on to the cinematography, and the cinematography, I would say, not a lot to say, which is not a bad thing, because cinematography, you don't really want to be doing just a crazy stuff. You want to keep people in the story, and I feel like they kept us in the story. One of the things is Shane's character was documenting it, making it feel like a documentary feel, so it felt like that. It felt like we were there. They had a lot of handheld shots, a lot of movement with the camera. And so I felt like that kept us with the story and inside the story, to where when we got to the police station, we felt like we was in there. The one shot that I do remember is the shot when there was the anticipation of what he was going to kill, the Bo character, the officer, and they stood on the gun, and I don't know, I think they did like a ramp motion or something, like where they kind of it's slow motion and they speed it up, and they grabbed the gun and they pulled it out, because it was almost like a pin drop you could hear in there. And the way they shot that shot, I felt like that was really, when you have movies, they call it the money shot. And so the money shot is like, sometimes it's the shot they put a lot of money into, or sometimes it is the shot that sums up the movie, right? And so I felt like this shot summed up the movie, because it was an anticipation, just like he was in the car, just like when he was contemplating what he was going to do, there was this pause. It was this thinking of like, man, like, how long are we going to have to play this game before we get justice? And so that pause, as that black man thinks about that, and then all of a sudden he snaps. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that shot was. And so I feel like that shot summed up the whole movie, and that's my favorite cinematography point. So the theme as it relates to black people. How does this movie affect the community and all that good stuff? The part I've been really waiting for, the part maybe you've been waiting for, I don't know. So when it comes to this movie, I had a really good conversation with a friend in about this movie, and one of the things is, I will say first, is it kind of reminds me of Small Axe a little bit, where we began to play outside of the rules of engagement. And you might hear me say that a lot, with different movies. But the rules of engagement is the slave laws, the slave system, right? And so as long as you play under the rules of the slave system, you get the slave results. You know what I'm saying? And so, when they were waiting for the trial to be over, and then they heard the verdict, and it was like, oh, this is typical. And then that's when, it kicked off. And so I feel like this story is on point with the things that go on in the community, the injustice, from the police. And it talks about that, and it goes into that. And it takes it a step further, where I never felt like it was a revenge type mission. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good thing, because when I saw the trailer, I didn't know if they was going to go there. And so I think with a lot of times when it comes to these type of things, we, black folks really want justice. Like, we really want justice. We've been wanting justice for a minute. And this film goes into showing that. I feel like with the message is that we have to seek the truth, to get justice, by any means necessary. That's what I felt like the message was, to seek justice by any means necessary. And because there was a quotable, I guess, when he would say, how long we the only people that are expected to, and I might chop and screw this, to not use violence, to get things done. You know what I mean? When all other nations, do things, and it's looked upon as, especially when we get into Christianity, right? Where the slave Bible talks about, slaves obey your masters, and the certain twisting of words that made it to where we became docile and weak, and then the enemy flipped it to where justice sounds like revenge. And so let's go on the sidebar. Justice is not the same thing as revenge. It's two different things. Revenge is having this vendetta that because you did this to me, I'm going to do this to you. Why that is a sin is because you're not going to get more, let's say, payback than what Yahuwah can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not stronger than him on punishing somebody, right? You only a man, right? So when you take upon your mind to have vengeance, the scriptures say, vengeance is mine, says Yahuwah, I will repay. And so that's a different thing from justice. Justice is like, man, you know, you stole my car, I need it back, and you wrecked it. I need you to pay that plus the damage, and this is due. It's a balanced scale, right? And so that's what I felt like he was trying to get to. And the message was, to me, is get justice by any means necessary. Now, the bone I have with this film is Lincoln's character towards the end. Is because, I did like how the media, spent the story. They spent it, and that's what they do. They always spin the story. So that was truthful. But I do think that Lincoln's character was a little bit naive, still, after all that, still trying to believe in the system. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that's what it was. It still like reverted back. Like, you don't believe in the system, and then you do. Because you trying to walk people out, you know what I'm saying? When, the same officer that killed your son with no gun, and they out there with helicopters, and they ain't came in yet. They ain't invaded yet. They plotting something. I mean, you got to be smarter than that to know you're not coming out this alive. And so the bone I have with this, when it comes to relationship with black people, is it can give an impression that there is a conversation that needs to be had with institutions that continue to dismantle and to destroy us, and we're set up to destroy us. And I know that's a hard conversation for us to have. I know we don't want to just step over that line, but I felt like the film didn't want to step over that line. And what I mean plainly is Babylon got to burn. And so what I mean by that is, when it comes to these institutions that continue to do these things, I'm not saying, I believe wholeheartedly that there are people that have became officers that are people that want to help. You know what I'm saying? The issue is that you have a system that is built off bloodshed, that is built off, the police, were first part of the slave catchers. That's why when you get stopped, it says, license and registration, where are you going? That's what the slave catchers would say, let me see your papers from your master. You know what I'm saying? Where are you going? Now you got your ID. You know what I'm saying? Where are your papers from your master? Where are you going? Let me see your insurance, right? It's the same type of feel. And so that whole thing needs to be torn down. And so I would like to see true repentance too. Is because he let him off the hook too easy. Because anybody, I got a gun to your head, you're going to say anything. You're going to break down, you know what I'm saying? You're going to see your children, and you know what I'm saying? You're going to break down and that's anybody, because your life fast before your eyes. You don't want to die, right? But it wasn't, a lot of the officers, even in that time, in that setting, they justify a lot of things that they do. You know what I'm saying? They said they got to get the bad guys. But what I do believe, where the film didn't go and was scared to go, and I'm not talking about defund the police type stuff. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about dismantling that I'm talking about, at least for us, is dismantling that for us. And more so, also in the world. I just believe that, because we are in a situation where you have so many issues stacked on top of each other. And I know people will say, well, what are you going to do about, if something happened to you? And well, it just depends on who you believe in. If you trust in the government, you trust in the police, you're going to call the police. If you trust in the Most High, you're going to call on the Most High, and He's going to deliver you. And so going back to the point about repentance, is the officer and the officers never once said, hey, this is corrupt. The officer that did the crime, even though he walked out and there was some mutual understanding type of situation, he didn't say he was going to quit the force. He didn't say, none of that. He, from what he did, and none of them talked about quitting the force. None of them talked about, man, this is wicked. None of the officers said we need to go on a boycott. We ain't coming out here. Y'all gonna have to kill all of us, cause this is wicked. Matter of fact, we finna walk and we finna walk out and surround you, to where if they're gonna shoot and you gonna get low, and if they're gonna shoot us, you shoot you, they're gonna shoot me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't to the fact of they weren't really willing to put their life on the line, or they weren't really to, when they say they protect and serve, right? But you're not willing to put your life on the line when you just saw in front of everybody that this man, that the officer that killed Lincoln's son, was in the wrong. And that's what I'm saying, is that's the heart of the system, is ain't that wicked that we have this conversation and now we got some kind of mutual understanding and now you kill me. You know what I'm saying? That's proving that we shouldn't have this conversation in the first place. You know what I'm saying? We need to it just needs to be destroyed. And I believe that Yahushua will destroy that entity, because it's like one of those things, a prime example. I'm gonna bring another movie into it. Small Axe. Small Axe did a thing where they had John Boyega kind of going into the police, scene and trying to do, having a good heart. I'm gonna come in here, reform everything, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come in, and just getting the same results. And it's one of those things where it can't be. It's only for the people that continually oppress, right? And I'm not talking about black and white type of situation. I'm talking about oppressor and the oppressed, right? This is what I'm talking about. And this film was a step in that aspect, but when you don't bring the spiritual aspects in there, it leaves it to where, you're hopeless. We know that the truth may cost you your life, but even then, if you in the Messiah, Yahushua, you can't take my life from me. It's only if the Most High purpose for them to be able to take my life, then so be it. But I do feel like overall that this film gives an impression that we can still negotiate with wickedness. You can't negotiate with a system that wants to destroy you. And it was proven at the end. And I'm not by any means saying that he should have killed him or anything like that, because we're talking about a bigger discussion. But what I would like to see, if you're going to touch this subject, is talk about dismantling that system. Now, if he would have went out for that would have been a different story. If the officers would have quit the system, that would have been a different story. But you're talking about a system that needs to burn to the ground. There's no way out of it. There's no negotiation. But I do think there are strides and things happening because pressure is being put on these institutions. But do they continue to transform their policies to combat? We go back to Jim Crow. Once people caught on the Jim Crow laws, it changed into something else, changed into labor laws. Then it changed in when they got the civil rights. Civil rights, came with the desegregation, right? So now desegregation, but that's breaking up the black community. So it's always a new wave of something that is finding a new way to dismantle the oppressed. Because when we talk about social issues, we need solutions. I understand the message of, let me bring it to a jury of, a balanced jury, and to people that relate to the situation, to judge the situation and to get justice. But I think we got to go higher than that, man. It's about time we as a people go higher than that. We got to go to the courts of heaven, because that's the only way we're going to get real justice. Because what you had in this situation, you had him, getting a guilty verdict in front of the people, but yet, minutes later losing his life. I'm just saying the whole system got to burn. It ain't just this officer, because there were lines in there. I'll give you a prime example. There were lines in there where the officer was like, that's what I was trained to do. He said it multiple times. That's what I was trained to do. We We're not, if a situation escalates, we're not taught to de-escalate. You know what I mean? Like he was saying things like that. And the officers was justifying this training and different things that they were going through. So when we talk about let's have a conversation, what's gonna happen is y'all gonna do the same thing over. Because the system is training you to keep doing the same thing over and to keep repeating it. So me having this conversation doesn't really bring anything because you heard it. The training, the this, the that, it's gonna keep going like that, and it's gonna transform. When somebody yell, "Oh man, you mistreating," they trying to, they change this law and then change this other one. You know what I'm saying? At the same time. So you thinking, oh, we didn't got, because look, they didn't got the police. Remember they got the body cams, but then people get killed. Oh man, the body cam was off, or man, we didn't have it, or we seen it on the body cam, but the angle was bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's always gonna be these things, man. And I would like to see a brother that is like, look, man, forget the system. Let's burn it down. How can we do that? How can we burn the system down? And so, without negotiating, we can't negotiate with. That's what they say. Ain't what they say? Ain't that what the diplomats say? We can't negotiate with terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Isn't this a terrorist act to kill people when they don't have, they don't have guns and different things, and you murdering them in cold blood and all that sort of stuff? That's why I said that. There was a little bit of naiveness when it comes to, seeking justice and hoping that it will bring change. The story got out of the dude at the end, he got the DVDs. But notice at the end, the media still spent it. So the media, even though you got that CD that you about to get out, guess what the media gonna do? They gonna spin it. Why? Because the devil is the prince of the power of the air. And so the airwaves is going to be flooded with, he did this, he did that, whatever they want to spin it on. And so that's why when it comes to the jury, if we talking about taking it to the highest court, and I'm not talking about the Supreme Court, I'm talking about the courts in heaven, to Yahusha to get justice. And why do we need to get justice in heaven? Why do we need to get justice in the courts of heaven when it comes to injustices from the oppressor and things down which people, when innocent people dying and things are happening like this? Why do we need to go? Because when it comes to the Most High, he knows how to get real justice. He knows how to get justice to where his enemies fleeing till they falling on their face type of situation. Because what I mean is this: if you have a man of Elohim that is, praying and seeking the Most High as concerning this, and then people become together and they start seeking and beseeching the Most High, start to repent, start to turn their face back to him, start to believe in HaMashiach, the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, the Son of Elohim, start to trust, and they start to, because it says that when the poor cried out, that Yahuwah would hear, and he would be an adversary to our adversaries. And we ain't really seen what that looked like. And so that's why I'm saying that we got to take it to another level. Because what that looks like is talking about him dismantling this situation, talking about him making these officers rethink the whole system. But when it comes to man, we're going to say all the words we're going to say. But until we have real power backing us, there is not much you can do. It's here a little, there a little, back to square one type of situation. But we need real power. We need real power, and our power is Elohim. And so until we really understand that, we're not going to really get justice. It's going to be these type of situations over and over and over and over and over. And so that's what I would like to see. And when it comes to movies about social justice, because we continually play this game where we think in the back of our mind that one day it's going to be all right. One day we're going to overcome. We're going to overcome this, and we all going to hold hands, right? Martin Luther King said that was a nightmare. He said the dream wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? We all ain't finna hold hands. It's just not going to happen. Why it's not going to happen? Because the people in power at the top don't want to get out of power. Until they're eliminated, man, we got a thing on our hands. And so that's what Yahushua's coming to do. And that's what Yahushua will do and will begin to do if we will turn to him and seek his face. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I did want to add that in there because we do need to talk about that. We do need to talk about real justice, because because getting a little justice for myself, or just hearing the truth, I knew the truth already. You know what I'm saying? Lincoln knew the truth going in there. It's just other people didn't know the truth. And so what is it, the thing that you want to prove to other people what the truth is? You know what I'm saying? Because he knew the truth. But, and not beating the story up, I'm just talking real. But that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about this. So now we're gonna get to the nitty gritty. What is this film doing? Is it taking us forward? Is it taking us forward, or is it taking us back? You know, I enjoyed the film in the premise that it was set in. When I talk about taking us forward, I'm talking about liberation. Liberation in Yahushua, the Messiah, the Son of Elohim. That's what I'm talking about. And when I talk about taking us backwards, I'm talking about bondage the same way, continually, you know, repeating the same cycle situation. So what American skin, I'm going to be controversial on this, and I'm going to say that this film is taking us back. It's taking us back. Why is it taking us back? Because it didn't lend any real solution for change. Because truth is always going to be truth, and people are going to see. And yeah, we can argue that the CD got out, you know, and it was going to hit the masses. But who owned the masses? You know what I'm saying? They can spin that joint, and we done seen videos. They done showed us the videos where the dude was reaching in his pocket. Dude wasn't even reaching in his pocket, had his hands up. He say, I got my hands up, and they still shoot him, and then it's still a controversy. Well, maybe he was about to scratch his nose. Maybe. Yeah, I've seen the thought cross his mind that he was about to scratch his nose, or something crazy. So I feel like it's time for that. It's time for our narrative to go to, let's dismantle, not by our own power, but by spiritual power, by our Elohim, because mighty are the weapons of warfare, right? In prayer, in fasting, in the armor of Elohim. Mighty are these weapons to pull down strongholds in the spirit, and we need to start talking about that, because we've been doing this thing, and we don't have no drones, we don't have no helicopters, we don't have no military to talk about, you know, some real revolution. You know what I'm saying? The revolution is truth, but it's also, you know, when you are building, you know, that's what it says in Jeremiah. It says that he would use us to build up, but also tear down. And so we got to think about the tearing down part of these systems. And Yahushua said in Luke 10 that he's given us power to tread on scorpions, over serpents, and over all the power of the enemy. All the power. That means the legal system. That means however they want to try to come at you. He said all the power. That means the airwaves, all that. You know what I'm saying? But how many people gonna believe that and cling to that? And also, it also said that Yahushua said in Matthew 16 that he said he gave us the keys to the kingdom, right? And that the gates of Sheol, or hell, will not prevail against the assembly, against the people. And so this is what we're talking about. And so, but big ups to Nate Parker telling this story, man. It was a good story, but I do think there's levels to go, and I do think that we need solutions that push us forward and not tell us things that we already know. You know what I'm saying? We need freedom. We need liberation. And so I'm out, man. I hope you enjoyed the film train. Man, please, if you enjoyed this, please share it. Please like it. Please share it. Please tell your friends that seen the movie. You know, tell them about it, man, and tell me what you think. Drop your comments in there. If you didn't agree, tell me you didn't agree, and just, you know, maybe we could talk it out. If you agree, man, say what's up. Say what's happening, you know what I mean, in the comment section. And man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you tuning in to the Film Train. I am Dennis Delamar, your host, and I'm out of here.